Today's October 29th. Today's quote is entitled, "Surrender is in one's hand." This is a quote from Srila Prabhupada. There is no need of material qualifications for making progress on the path of spiritual perfection. In the material world, when one accepts some particular type of service, he is required to possess some particular type of qualification also. Without that, one is unfit for such service. But in the devotional service of the Lord, the only qualification required is surrender. Surrendering oneself is in one's own hand. If one likes, he can surrender unconditionally without delay, and that begins his or her spiritual life. Isn't that beautiful? That sometimes we think, I'm not pure, or I'm not materially qualified, or in any way I have no qualification for Krishna consciousness. Well, you know what? You're 100% correct. We don't. But we don't have to. And that's not what Krishna looks at. What does Krishna look at? He looks at your willingness, your desire to serve, your desire to take shelter. And he will give you that shelter simply because you want it, not because you're qualified for it. So if you're thinking you need some special qualification, if you're thinking other devotees are more qualified, please stop thinking that way, because Krishna never says that. One's desire to be Krishna conscious is one's qualification. Now, here, Prabhupada is saying, surrender is in your hand. Sometimes we feel like, no, surrender is not in my hand. It's like there's so many circumstances and situations, and I can't just surrender. Well, maybe you can't just become a pure devotee overnight. That's true. But surrender, in the broadest sense, just means acceptance of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer and controller, and living a life where I don't try to compete and imitate him. So yeah, we can do that. That's in our hand. We can make that decision. If we make that decision, Krishna says, yes, I want to help you because this is what you want. So, don't blame your lack of surrender on anyone or anything or anybody, because Prabhupada here is saying it's in your hands. You can do it if you want to. And don't blame your lack of surrender on lack of material qualification, because here Prabhupada is explaining Krishna's qualification for us, which is only our willingness to take shelter. Actually, it's so interesting in the Bhagavad Gita. You all know the verse, Harva Dharmam Prityaja, 1866. Surrender, Sanskrit for surrender, sharanam. And sharanam means shelter. So surrender is a shelter. It's not some horrible thing that I should shun and fear and be really, really scared about what will happen to my life if I surrender. But it's actually coming under Krishna's shelter. So Krishna's saying, if you're willing to come under my shelter, you're in. We're going to make things happen. You're on your way back to Godhead. I don't care if you're not qualified materially or spiritually. That has nothing to do with anything, because I can make it all happen. You just have to want to. So if you're willing to surrender, I'll work with you. We'll make it happen. And we'll go back to Godhead in this life. Yes, you don't have to take another life. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Join Krishna Leela in this life. Yeah. And Krishna wants to make it happen. And if you want to make it happen, he'll make it happen. That's actually that simple.